It was supposed to be a light-hearted evening, just a simple gathering at our place with close friends and family. Daniel had been working late for weeks, buried in deadlines and exhaustion, and I thought a little party might be the perfect way for him to unwind, to shake off the weight he'd been carrying. Everyone was in high spirits. The music flowed easily through the rooms, the wine poured freely, and the laughter felt effortless. I never imagined how quickly it would all unravel, how a night meant to bring us closer would instead tear everything apart. At some point during the evening, a few of us ended up in the living room, swapping silly stories and teasing one another the way old friends often do. Someone brought up Daniel's recent attempt at assembling a flat-pack shelf, a harmless anecdote about mismatched screws and a backwards panel. I added my own flair, exaggerated a few moments for comedic effect, and people laughed, loudly. Then others joined in, sharing little quirks about Daniel. How he always forgets to take out the trash. The baby voice he uses with our dog. The odd way he holds his fork when he's concentrating. Nothing cruel, or so I thought. Just small, silly things meant to get a laugh. I glanced at Daniel now and then. He smiled, faintly, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. He didn't laugh with us. He didn't say a word. He just sat there, too still, too quiet, but I was too caught up in the moment to notice. I was glowing under the spotlight, enjoying the attention, thinking it was all just harmless fun. I didn't even see him leave the room. I assumed he'd gone to grab another drink or check something in the kitchen. An hour passed, then another. Guests began to trickle out. The buzz of the night softened into quiet goodbyes, and that's when I noticed Daniel hadn't come back. I checked the bedroom. Empty. His phone was gone. So was his wallet. A strange unease wrapped around my chest. I called him, straight to voicemail. Again and again. Still nothing. I paced the living room, staring at the half-empty wine glasses, the crumbs on the coffee table, the couch where he had been just hours earlier. I told myself he was just cooling off, that he'd come back in the morning, but he didn't. Instead, the next morning, I woke up to a message. Long handwritten, scanned and sent from his email. Not angry, not emotional, just cold, calm, detached in a way that pierced deeper than any shouted words ever could. He wrote that he was tired of being the punchline, tired of feeling small in the home he helped build, tired of pretending that it didn't chip away at him each time I laughed along with the crowd, instead of standing beside him. He said he loved me, but he didn't feel loved anymore. I sat frozen, reading that message again and again, hoping I had misunderstood, praying I was overreacting. But the hollow ache in my chest told me I wasn't. I called him over and over. He never answered. 2 days later, while I was at work, a moving van showed up. When I returned home, his side of the closet was empty. His shoes, his books, even his favorite mug, the one I always tease him for drinking out of because it was chipped, gone. The silence in the house hit me like a wall. Friends started calling, asking what had happened. A few admitted they'd felt uncomfortable at the party. One told me Daniel had quietly said before walking out, asterisk, I don't belong here anymore. Asterisk, that's when it sank in. This wasn't about a single night. It wasn't just the jokes. This had been building for a long time. The party wasn't the problem. It was just the final blow. I tried to reach him one more time. This time with a letter, real paper, real ink. I poured my heart out, apologized without excuse, begged for a chance to fix what I'd broken. He never replied. Weeks passed, then months. The silence stretched into permanence. Eventually, the divorce papers came. Through a lawyer, cold, formal, no face-to-face, no yelling, no chance to ask why. Just ink and signatures and the slow, steady unraveling of everything we had built together. I sat on the couch afterward, the same one we picked out together, and stared at nothing. Every corner of the house echoed with memories. His laugh, his shoes by the door, his quiet support during every storm I faced. Gone. I kept replaying that night in my head, over and over. The laughter, the way I didn't stop it, the way I didn't notice his discomfort, didn't shield him, didn't see him, not the way he needed me to. I let him be humiliated in his own home. by his own wife. Now, whenever someone becomes the subject of a joke at a party, I notice who laughs and who stays silent. I watch the faces of those being teased and wonder what pain they're swallowing behind tight smiles. And I think of Daniel, of the man who stood by me, who never once made me feel small, who never laughed at me, not even in jest. And I think of how I lost him, not with a betrayal, not with a scream, but with a laugh. And that's what haunts me most of all.